Hey, good evening, Crime Crunchies. Thank you so much for joining me. I am your host, Courtney C., a 27-year veteran of the media, and I'm so happy to be able to bring you Crime Crunchies. So, wowie zowie, wowie zowie, zowie wowie. I do not even know what to say. This has been crazy with this news of a potential burial spot that has been called in by a tipster. But wait, there's more. We got the impression, okay, over the last day that this came out, that this tip had come in this Wednesday, as in June 10th. Oh, contraire, mon cher. No, this group, Buscando Corazones Nogales, received a first tip in May from what they think is a male, leading them to this spot. And they started searching in May and have found 25 unmarked graves and like 32 skeletal remains. They have not found Nancy, and the tipster called back Wednesday, said, "You guys are not looking in the exact spot. Here's a better marker for you." And so they went and they dug again, and they didn't find her, but they're going back. They're going back June 16th. Maybe the tipster will call in again. So let's go into this article. We'll watch a video, and I have some comments. I'm sure you all have comments as well. So let me share my screen. And as usual, while I'm sharing my screen, please subscribe if you are not already, and hit that little bell, the little baby bell. All right, so let's take a look at this story. This is from a Texas TV station. Search for Nancy Guthrie underway after anonymous tip claims her remains are buried in Mexico near the border. A volunteer search began after a tip claiming her grave is in an area known as Mariposa in Nogales, Sonora, Mexico. Volunteers are searching for Nancy Guthrie in Mexico after an anonymous tip claiming her remains are in an area close to the border with Arizona. The Buscando Corazones collective in the city of Nogales, Sonora, has previously discovered more than 25 unmarked graves in the area where the tip claims Nancy Guthrie's remains are. The leader of the local collective said she received a tip claiming Nancy Guthrie's remains are buried in one of the streams in an area known as Mariposa. The stream is located near the Mariposa port of entry at the Mexico-Arizona border, probably very close to the place where Brian Enton crossed the border, walked across, if you guys remember that day. Volunteers have not yet found any evidence of Guthrie's grave or her whereabouts. Nancy Guthrie has not been seen since she went missing. So here's the Pima County Sheriff's Office released a statement on X just yesterday, saying they are aware of the anonymous tip reports. We are aware of reports regarding an anonymous tip related to the Nancy Guthrie investigation that was provided to a group in Mexico. The sheriff's office said, "At this time, we have not been contacted by Mexican authorities. The investigation remains active and ongoing, and we will continue to follow up on any credible information." Well, guess what? This kind of sounds like credible information. How are they reaching out to Mexico? Are they saying, "Hey guys, by the way, I heard that you are, looking for an American citizen, Nancy Guthrie. You might have heard of her. Can you clue us in?" But again, wait, there's more. Ramona Guadalupe Ayala Ortiz with the Buscando Corazones Collective Search Group said a caller who she believes is a man said searchers could find a body matching Nancy Guthrie's description in the Mariposa area near Nogales, Sonora, Mexico. The caller described clothing or characteristics that searchers would be able to verify they had found the right person, Ortiz told NBC. The first search the collective conducted on May 16th turned up nothing. So they've been looking for a month. and they found 25 unmarked graves, 32 bodies. What? The caller allegedly, the tipster allegedly reached out a second time this week and described another area to search in the region. Another search was conducted on June 10th and turned up nothing. Another search is scheduled on June 16th. Ortiz said the Nogales police often accompany the search group, but they are not involved in any investigation. The search group said no U.S. police or law enforcement have been with them on searches. This is the first time an anonymous tip to the group has specifically mentioned Nancy Guthrie. So maybe when they called, so let me read this again. This is the first time an anonymous tip to the group has specifically mentioned Nancy Guthrie. Okay, well, maybe that's why the group kept it under their hat. Because I can't imagine that if this group knew this was for Nancy Guthrie and the Mexican officials, supposedly the Mexican police will accompany this group on their searches. It's a women's group. They are actually parents who started this group when they lost loved ones. I'm not sure if they're children. We're going to read about this group here in just a moment. But the Mexican officials will come out as security for this group while they search. So I guess maybe that's why that the tipster had not mentioned Nancy Guthrie's name before, but I hope that's accurate, because if they called a month ago and they've been searching for Nancy Guthrie for a month and our sheriff knew nothing about it, it seems pretty credible. And I'm going to actually link this back to the TMZ ransom note with the whole Bitcoin. I need a half Bitcoin now and a half Bitcoin later. We're going to look at that, because that was April 7th that somebody wrote in again to TMZ and said, I know where she is. I saw her in Sonora, Mexico, and I know where she's buried. She didn't live. So again, unless people are sitting around completely bored, this seems pretty credible to me. So let's watch this video on the news here, and let's see what they have to say.
And we start with breaking news right now. Volunteers are searching for Nancy Guthrie in Mexico after an anonymous tip. And we start with breaking news right now. Volunteers are searching for Nancy Guthrie in Mexico after an anonymous tip claimed her remains are close to the Arizona border. Guthrie, the mother of Today co-host Savannah Guthrie, was taken from her home in Tucson back on February 1st. She has not been seen since, and no arrests have been made. Now, the group told NBC the tip came in about a month ago, claiming her remains are close to the Mariposa port of entry in Nogales. That's just across the border. Volunteers searched on May 16th and then again yesterday after the caller provided a second possible location in a dry riverbed. The group searching says that it actually has found the remains of more than 24 bodies in the area, but so far, none of them connecting to Guthrie. Pima County deputies say they are aware of this tip, but have not been contacted by Mexican authorities.
So apparently this group they're pretty put together, because again, it's a group of mothers. We're going to read about them, but they have been reporting the bodies that they have been finding, skeletal remains, and they are actually turning in, somebody's coming out and collecting DNA, and they're actually using the DNA to name the skeletal remains that they're finding. And thus far, they don't have a match to at least Nancy. And, as per this report, it's just incredible to me that they've been looking for a month. And again, maybe somebody didn't mention Nancy Guthrie, but they found, this is what I don't get. I'm questioning that, and I'll tell you why. If somebody called in on May 10th, an anonymous tip called in to the Buscando Corazones Nogales and said, hey, I've got this person, they're buried here, You want to go search for them. I have to think that this group was told it was Nancy Guthrie. And you want to know why? Because they kept looking. If they were just looking for a woman, they found 25 bodies. Some of those had to have been female, but they kept going and they kept looking and they kept looking and they kept looking. So that has to tell me that that they knew they were looking for Nancy. So why was the sheriff not clued in? If the Mexican government knew that they were, had a tip on Nancy Guthrie, is there a reason why the Mexican police? Yeah, let me know if your sound is okay. If the Mexican police thought that they were looking for Nancy, why did they contact the sheriff's department? If they did contact the sheriff's department, did somebody screw up the message? And then I'm going to go back to April 7th when TMZ got this letter, and it was the same Bitcoin wallet that was in the first 2 kidnap ransom notes asking for Bitcoin. And they know it was the same person because it was the same account number, and that had not been. Let me know if the sound's okay. Now I'm concerned. Okay, let me clear my brain. All right, so April 7th, TMZ gets another letter from somebody saying they're not taking me seriously. I can't come forward because there's danger for me. If you give me half a Bitcoin, I will tell you where she's at. And then after you find her, then pay me the other half Bitcoin. And of course, nobody did shit with that, okay, which is really irritating. They could have easily sent this guy $35,000, if anything, just to track him, okay? And then the FBI knew that the Bitcoin wallets matched the first, ransom notes that they thought were credible and were real. No one had that Bitcoin wallet. Nobody had that except for the person doing this. So if TMZ, I remember specifically because Harvey said, look, I think this is real. I think this is real. They turn it over to the FBI, and the FBI is not going to say anything. The FBI doesn't talk. They don't have to talk. They're not obligated to. They're just not going to. So, I mean, and we've all been looking at the feds and the FBI like saviors in this. But what if they ignored this? Because again, maybe they, based on pattern and historical, these things are bunk. What if they screwed this up? I mean, we're looking at Pima County like Keystone Cops, but what if the feds screwed this up and ignored this from April 7th? And again, the Buscando Corazones Nogales search group received an anonymous tip early May. And they were told that somebody was buried in this area south of Nogales, in this area called Mariposa, near a stream or in a stream. And again, I have to think that they knew who they were looking for, because they didn't just stop. You would think, okay, here's a body, I'm going to stop now. We found the person that they told us we were looking for. No, they kept looking and turning in DNA. They found 25 unmarked graves and supposedly 32 skeletons. So there were a few unmarked graves, shallow graves where more than one body. This is a dumping ground. Okay. And obviously the person who led them here has firsthand or at least secondhand knowledge of this place. They're embedded with these people. Okay. And so this just feels like a comedy of errors at this point. And yeah, it could totally be nothing. But it just looks like incompetence. Nanos looks incompetent because he just learned about this. He looks incompetent because the feds aren't sharing anything with him. And anytime Nanos gets interviewed, he does word salad of things that just don't even make sense. They're not informational. He just sounds like an idiot. And at this point, the feds look dumb because this sounds exactly like the person who wrote in the ransom notes. And this person didn't call just once in early May. They called back. They had been paying attention to where these people were digging because he called back this week. It's a male and said, you guys aren't in the right spot, which is kind of creepy. But he called and he said, you guys aren't in the right spot, by the way. Here, let me give you some more markers to help you find the spot. Oh, and not just that. Here's the clothing that she's wearing. And I would think that hearing that, Chris Nanos should be getting in his little Corvette and driving down there himself, because how do we know what clothing? The only person, she probably was in her pajamas. The family probably knows what her pajamas look like. Does this information corroborate? Does the tipster's information about the clothing she's wearing corroborate anything that law enforcement knows she was wearing that night? This seems pretty important, okay? It sounds laissez-faire. Their response of, we'll continue to monitor the situation. It's an active thing. We'll follow up. And I don't know, maybe I'm being dramatic, but I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions because this anonymous guy is following them for the last month, knows where they're digging, has led them to a place that has dug up 30 bodies and is able to identify clothing that Nancy would, this is what you need to look for. So he's like, I'm just imagining this is what he's saying on the phone. So, okay, now you guys are far away. Go over here. There's another riverbed. Look in this riverbed. It's next to a tree that looks like an X, and you'll know it's her. I know you're going to probably find 50 bodies, but you'll know it's her because she has on a purple nightie. Okay. That's exactly what it sounds like in my head. She's going to have on a purple nightgown. That's when you'll know you'll have the right body, but you'll probably come across 100 bodies between now and then. This sounds insane. I cannot even believe this is happening. All right, I'm going to share my screen and let's find out more about Buscando. Let's see, is this the one? Please hold. I want to make sure I'm pulling up the right one. All right, this might be just another article, but let's just read this article together. Let's have some story time. I'm going to share my screen again. Please subscribe again. If you have not, I would love it. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I need to calm down. Okay, so nonprofit looks for Nancy Guthrie in Mexico based on anonymous tip. Let's just play this and see what they have to say. I don't know. I haven't watched this. Let's see if it's even anything pertaining. Sometimes they sneak videos in that don't have anything to do with the article.
New information tonight on an active search down near the border for Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old who vanished from her home in Tucson back in February.
We spoke with a nonprofit in Mexico tonight. Their volunteers are known for searching for missing people, and they tell us they got an anonymous tip. Nancy Guthrie was buried in an unmarked shallow grave near Nogales. The group got a phone call in May telling them where to search. They say up to 15 volunteers then dug up some graves in the area. No sign of Nancy, but they say that tipster called back trying to give them more directions on where to better focus their search.
It was a phone call. It was a man, and he said to go look in that area and said, that's where the missing woman from Tucson is.
Well, the group tells us they plan to search again next week. The Pima County Sheriff's Department says they are aware of the tip and the search, but as of this hour, Mexican authorities haven't reached out to them.
This is just so confusing. And you know what? Maybe this is Bitcoin. The wrench attacks. We talked about wrench attacks. That was the new buzzword a few weeks ago. A signal sniffer, Wi-Fi jammers, wrench attacks. Okay. Maybe this is a Bitcoin kidnap, because they kidnap people who are even related to people who have Bitcoin. But again, I don't understand if a month ago an anonymous tip comes into this seemingly wonderful search group. I mean, just amazing that they're out there taking their time and they're doing this. But again, I have to think that they knew enough about who they were looking for, that once they started digging and started coming across bodies, they didn't stop. If they didn't know who they were looking for, don't you think that after the first body, they would have said, oh, well, here's the body. I can stop now. They told me to look here. We dug here. We found a body. This is great. Woohoo. But no, they kept looking and they kept searching, and they're finding answers for 30 families. Potentially 30 families are getting closure. Someone's sister, brother, son, father. But they had to have known that they were looking for the Tucson lady, because they kept looking. And then whoever this person is calling in the tip says, no, you're not looking in the right spot. You guys need to go over there a little bit more. And you'll know it's the right body when you find her wearing her purple nightie. But nanos, nah, we're good. Yeah, we had no idea. This is nanos. We had no idea this was going on, guys. You know what, though? We are still active in this investigation, and we are going to follow any credible lead. I'm beside myself, and the feds, I'm sorry, at this point, they're just as guilty. And, even in my own rhetoric, I have, of course, because it's easy to make fun of Chris Nanos, been supporting Pima County Sheriff's Office because, rank and file, they're doing the good work. They're in the trenches. Yeah, well, they're also the first ones on the scene the first day that treated it as a walk-off and lost precious time. So if I were the Guthrie family right now, I would be livid. I would be so upset. This is such an embarrassment for the FBI, for if this is a true tip. And even if it isn't, the fact that this whole thing has happened and maybe nobody knew, and letters came into TMZ saying, I saw her in Sonora. I know where she's buried. Give me 35,000 measly dollars to this Bitcoin account that I've been sending you the same account number. I know where she's at. I want to help. Apparently, whoever has this information, which is shocking. I mean, they're not even asking for money at this point. I don't know if someone has a real conscience, because at this point, it sounds like whoever this is, if it's real, maybe it sounds like they really do want to help in some way, because this person isn't asking for money. All right. I'm just riled up. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, I'm going to read this article. I don't know that it's going to have anything new in it, but I'm going to read it anyway. An anonymous tip to a nonprofit about a Mexican grave concerning Nancy Guthrie sparked 2 searches and a response from the Pima County Sheriff's Department. Buscando Corazones de Nogales, Sonora, said it received a phone call on May 10th, Mother's Day, that Guthrie was buried in an unmarked shallow grave near Nogales. It was a man, and he said to go look in that area and said that's where the missing woman from Tucson was. So this article is stating that they said the missing Tucson woman on May 10th. Ortiz said the first search was May 16th, and they had up to 15 volunteers looking in the area for Guthrie. God bless them, because you know what? I didn't see any Americans there. I didn't see any Pima County people there. Ortiz said the first search was May 16th. They had 15 volunteers, but she said the tipster called back trying to give more directions. Oh, by the end of May. Oh, this is even more information. So the tipster called again at the end of May. So they got the call May 10th on Mother's Day. I need to make a timeline of this. May 10th, they get a phone call from the anonymous tipster. The missing woman from Tucson is buried here. They go dig on May 16th with 15 volunteers, but they don't find anything other than 25 unmarked graves. Yeah, we're just business as usual. By the end of May, they call again, and the tipster, they told me we were close to where she was. So then that helps us narrow it down to another area, Ortiz said. Buscando Corazones did a second search on Wednesday, a little more than 4 miles from the border. The nonprofit plans to search again next week. So they didn't find anything, but again, 25 unmarked graves, about 30 bodies. They are turning in DNA to the Mexican authorities. Mexico never called Chris Nanos. And honestly, I think someone even said, who would want to call him? He's such a puke. He's an idiot. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos said in a statement that his office is aware of reports. When did he get aware? When was he made aware? That's what I would like to know. Was he made aware when we were made aware? I think he was made aware when we were made aware, because the next line is, at this time, we have not been contacted by Mexican authorities. So unless Buscando Corazones called Sheriff Nanos, which we know he doesn't answer his phone to Texas EchoSearch or Cajun Navy. This is unbelievable. He doesn't take phone calls from search groups, guys. And actually, there were people that were starting to search near Nancy's home in the desert, and he told them to leave. Remember that? And his search group was done week 1. They were done. They were out of there. And Mexican authority didn't reach out to him. They weren't in charge of the search. They were there for security. This wasn't official business. So May 10th, the first tip comes in on Mother's Day. May 16th, this group of women go out. They don't find Nancy. And like I said, I know they knew who they were looking for because they kept digging and they kept finding. And they didn't get it right. So the caller calls back and says, here you go. This is a better area. Oh, and you'll know you found her when you find this type of clothing or characteristic. And maybe we've got an interpreter. So, and again, this is news reporting this. So we don't know exactly. I mean, they're quoting this woman, but who knows if it's right. So you'll know you found her by this color clothing and this type of characteristic. So what characteristic, I'm afraid to ask what characteristic we're talking about, if that's accurate. What could that mean? And I'm talking slow because the wheels are just turning and turning in my mind. Okay. Nanos added that the investigation remains active and detectives will follow up on any credible information. Again, this seems pretty serious. The group allegedly searched for Nancy. Let's be clear. They searched for Nancy based on a tip and found 25 unmarked graves, but did not find Guthrie. So I think this is the Buscando group talking. For me and my group, everyone is important. Every time we go out with the faith and hope that we will find a heart, as we call it. Buscando Corazones is heart, as we call it, and don't come back empty-handed. Many times we feel that way. There's been months, miles and miles of walking, and we don't find anyone. But God guides us, and then we do. And boy, did they freaking find Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today's Show, was last seen. Pima County Sheriff's Department has not held a live briefing since February 5th. I'm sorry, they are disgraceful. But you know what they are doing? They're arresting stupid YouTubers with pretense and with a camera on a tripod facing a house where no one lives. They're there arresting YouTubers. We're on it. We always get our man. But they're nowhere to be found on this. And yeah, it's could be totally nothing. Could totally be nothing. But it seems pretty important because this directly ties. And I'm gonna skip over there now. Let's look at one more. No, we're gonna go to. Let's go to TMZ because I want to relate to everyone again what was sent in April 7th. And let's watch this video and see what they have to say. This is from April 7th. Messages sent to TMZ claim to reveal a possible location and sighting in Mexico. And this was sent to the feds. All right, here we go.
Okay, I think we got a couple of serious stories to get to here.
Yeah.
Michael,
yes.
First up, we reported this on Good Day Chicago this morning, yet another piece of national news into your newsroom with regard to the Nancy Guthrie case. Get us updated.
Yeah, I mean, it's been weeks since we've heard anything as far as anyone writing any notes to us. Obviously, early on, we received a note from somebody who claimed that they were the person responsible for abducting Nancy Guthrie. But then also, as the weeks went on, we had heard from somebody who said, look, I've got information on the abductors, and I am willing to give that to the family for the price of 1 Bitcoin. So that was their price. And we didn't hear anything for a while. And in many ways, the case went cold. Well, on Monday, we hear from this person again, and we know it's the same person because they are using this completely unique Bitcoin address that they have included in each of their letters to, or each of their messages to us. And so that sort of like a fingerprint almost in showing that this is the same person writing in. A couple of notable things. So sadly, and if this is all true, obviously, assuming this is true, they say that Nancy Guthrie is no longer alive. I think that's probably the conclusion that a lot of people have come to with the fact that 2 months plus have passed. They say that she is sadly no longer alive. They did say, though, that they saw her when she was still alive in Sonora Mexico. So this was the first time that they have provided any sort of location outside of just saying Mexico. Last time they had said south of the border or something to that effect. Now they are giving a location. Sonora is a huge place, so it's not that that narrows it down much, but the bottom line is they are giving some sort of detail as to what they say they saw. And again, they're saying, give me one Bitcoin, which is about $70,000. They say millions and millions of dollars have been wasted on this investigation. And if they would have just paid us from the beginning, I would have, I think, served it up on a silver platter was the way that they phrased it in the letter.
So,
Whoa.
so the initial contact from this person were they saying at that time before that she was alive still, and this time they're saying that she's not?
The first correspondence, they never said, they didn't say one way or the other. This was the first time where they said anything about whether or not she was still living or not. And obviously what they say is that she's not. But in the previous letters, they had not touched that. I think you got the feeling that it was something that she could still be rescued, but they never explicitly said it back then.
So what's the protocol, Michael, for you guys? You obviously turn this information over to authorities.
Yeah.
And then what does the process look like in terms of assessing the credibility of these incoming messages?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. It's immediately turned over to the FBI before any story's written or not written. So they have it. They have obviously asked for some things over the last couple of weeks. They've asked for help trying to track down who was sending these messages. And I mean, it's difficult because the reality is it's meant to be an anonymous system where people can reach out anonymously. Mm-hmm. And because of that, when you've got a situation like this, it makes it hard to try and then figure out who is actually sending the messages. So I don't think it's not just TMZ that's had an issue with that. It's also the FBI clearly that's had an issue with that, as is evidenced by the fact that this person keeps writing in. Because if the FBI knew who this person was, you would imagine that they would find them, and either we would have Nancy Guthrie back, or they would be arrested for, trying to commit fraud, seemingly. Mm-hmm. So, again, because that hasn't happened, it leads you to believe that not even the FBI knows who this is.
Got it.
Have you guys heard from Savannah in response to these messages at all?
We know that she has them. As far as these latest messages, have they made their way to her yet? I don't think we know that. I know the previous messages, she has gotten them. The family has gotten them, and they've clearly weighed the possibility here that this could be real. But from whatever they are, whatever conclusion they're ultimately coming to, the fact that they haven't paid, I think that says a lot and speaks loudly, because she's got the money. She's done incredibly well for herself financially. So if they, if $70,000 meant bringing mom home, I think they probably would have done that without any thought.
Michael, what can you tell us about her return to the airwaves? We reported yesterday, I believe, that she's back on the Today Show.
Okay, I don't know that we need to hear that.
Yeah.
This is pretty much this is over. Okay, so digesting this. Okay, so very clearly, what TMZ is saying, that the latest letter that they received on April 6th is the same person. And they know this because the Bitcoin wallet account number was exactly the same, and it was never released publicly. The only person who's going to know that account number is the person writing in all of these letters, because that's the one thing that's linking them all together, is this Bitcoin account number. So to me, that seems very legitimate and very credible. And again, I don't play a cop on TV. I'm just a regular person, but hopefully I have a little bit of common sense. Could totally be wrong. I don't care if I'm wrong. I have to be right. I don't have to be right. It just makes sense to me that these were real. TMZ gets these for whatever reason. The person who is behind this wanted attention. You don't send these type of messages to TMZ if you're trying to keep it on the down low. You want attention. Does this fall into my theory that this is ultimately linked to the mastermind is behind this, and the mastermind was doing this as retaliation to Savannah? is this a Bitcoin crime to get money? I'm confused in the fact that this person, it sounds like the same person. It said, I saw Nancy in Sonora. They could have taken her across the border to a safe house. She could have been wounded. Maybe she was conscious. Maybe she wasn't. I hope she wasn't. But they could have seen her either unconscious, conscious, or dead in a safe house in Sonora. And then the people, whoever had her, was aware clearly of this dumping ground. They're like, okay, we know where to go. Okay. And this person, they think that it's a male talking, but could it be someone that's in the group, but maybe on the fringe, somebody who has a conscience, someone who really thought, you know what, if I can get 70,000 American, that could really set me up in Mexico. It's a lot of money for Mexico. Maybe if they, whatever, they thought that they could get that. TMZ's made so much money off of this case. They probably spend $35,000 on their Christmas party or a dinner with sponsors or whatever. Okay. The family has $35,000 probably in their checking account, each of them. Maybe not Annie and Tommaso, but I'm sure that they would have been happy to pay this. But we believe that the FBI urged them not to pay it in the very beginning, because at first I think they offered $50,000 or $25,000 reward, and then they upped it to $100,000. And it wasn't till like 6 weeks in that the family upped it to $1 million. And they were probably following guidance from FBI trained negotiators, saying don't put a reward out, because what happens is the phone rings and the scams start. And they were probably urged not to pay the ransom, because what happens is if it's an opportunist asking for a ransom of half a Bitcoin up front, half a Bitcoin after, you pay them the $35,000, and then all of a sudden they dangle another carrot, and then they want more money, and they it just goes on, and the family ends up getting screwed over, which is an emotional black eye. It hurts. Okay. This does happen to people. Amy Bradley's family gave $125,000 of donated funds to a private investigator who said that they were going to find Amy Bradley. And the guy literally just took the money and left. I mean, it's disgusting. Okay. So April 6th comes in the next letter. TMZ gives it to the feds. And I remember watching Harvey Levin. He said, you guys, he was being interviewed by every show. He's like, you guys, I really think this is real. He said, I'm telling you right now, I've read all of these letters that we've gotten. This is real. But there's nothing he could do. Nothing he could do. He was probably being told, even if maybe they offered to pay the half Bitcoin. Maybe they said, look, we'll pay it. We'll keep the family's hands are clean, because the family has an emotional investment into this thing. The family could be drug along by, the carrot, the dangling carrot. Their hearts can be broken. Why don't we silently pay the $35,000? The family doesn't even need to know. They don't have to, let us get strung along, if anything. But they were probably told, no, don't do it. Don't meddle. Stay out of it. And then again, the FBI is it's a one-way communication. And this is really embarrassing, because from everything that I've just read, and surprisingly, in the last day, even, I mean, before I go live, I always do another Google search, latest in Nancy Guthrie case, you know, about 30 minutes before I go live, just to see if anything's popped up. This is how this came up yesterday. I was going to go through my Family Knows Who Took Nancy theory again yesterday and just kind of do some analysis and talk about Coral Smith. But literally 30 minutes before, this stuff started popping up. But there's really not a lot of coverage on this. We've seen bits and pieces from local TV stations, but I'm surprised that this isn't like breaking news. And I feel like people are like almost toning this down. And my question is, why is this being toned down? I mean, good Lord, we saw freaking the entire SWAT team roll out twice for those people in the first 2 weeks that ended up being nothing. I mean, they were rolling cars out on tow trucks and detainees, and the poor mother was drug out of the house and was freaking out and had to go hang out at the neighbors because the son had been taken away in cuffs surrounded by guns, and it was nothing. And yeah, I know there was a comment, or maybe I said that Pima County is busy arresting stupid YouTubers. Yeah, I'm a YouTuber. I'm not saying that they're stupid. I'm just saying it seems stupid that Pima County is so focused on arresting YouTubers, arguing with Sue Ellen, who is putting dog poop and cactus garbage to keep them off the street. I'm not calling them stupid. I'm saying Pima County is wasting time arresting these people, and they didn't even know this was happening for the last month. And how do we know that any of those 30 bodies that were just dug up in this dumping ground, how do we know none of those were American citizens? Even Mexican Americans that are American citizens or had green cards or have a tie to America. I mean, there are lots of people missing, lots and lots. I mean, this seems pretty important to me. Pretty important to me. It didn't even get stupid nanos coming out in front of a camera saying, you know what, we are investigating this. We're taking this very seriously. We have officers going down. We're meeting with the group. We're talking. We're reaching out to Mexican authorities. Nothing. It's like neon lights going, hey, this might be real. Hey, 2 months ago, you guys got a letter saying they'd seen her in Sonora and this is where she could be found. Meh. Hey, she's in a purple nightie. Here's a characteristic. They've got her wrapped in a blue tarp. Meh. You know, they could be heroes. You're right, Joe. Something's really wrong. Something stinks. Something really, really stinks. And I've never thought this, but this smells, there's something wrong. This smells like some kind of cover up. And I'm not a conspiracy person, but I've seen every day I get messages. This is Epstein. This is Epstein. This is the feds. This is this. This is that. The so-and-so was with this and she interviewed these. And how do we know this isn't something bigger? How do we know that anything's even being done? How is it possible that they don't have somebody? We've all been scratching our heads and going, this dumbass committed the perfect crime. He can't be caught. They can't find him. What if they're not looking? What if this whole time what if they haven't really been looking? And to me, that would be completely shocking. Because if this could happen to Nancy Guthrie, no one's safe. No one is coming to save any of us. And that includes the feds, that includes Pima County, that includes any law enforcement in Arizona, politicians, because I am so sorry. But the writing was on the wall. And you know what's sickening is the language in the April 6th note. I was just kind of rereading it in one of my episodes not that long ago. It was like the feds are not listening. The feds are completely ignoring me. This is the only way I can get through, is to reach out to you. And nothing happened. And so if this person got a conscience and was originally thinking, you know what, I want to help the family, I want to return her to the family, but maybe I'll just ask for a half Bitcoin now and a half one later. That's not a lot of money. Okay. It is a lot of money, but for a situation like this, I would be borrowing. I would be whatever I have to, I'd be selling everything to get $70,000 from my mother. And they didn't get it. Couldn't be taken seriously. Harvey Levin says, dude, this is real. And he's seen them all. And I'm even thinking, Harvey, whatever. Maybe they're real, but the FBI, they know what's best. They know what's best. They're the smartest guys in the room. They must know something we don't. They must know this isn't real. So anyway, I don't even know what to say. And then, again, it may be nothing, but I just can't believe that nobody would have taken this seriously. If somebody's literally calling in and saying it's a Tucson woman and they've searched so good, this group of 15 people found 30 some bodies in 25 unmarked graves. I mean, amazing. We can't, we can't just gloss over the fact that there are 30 families that might have found their loved ones with DNA. But they knew they were looking for Nancy because they kept looking. They somehow knew, which to me is weird. I'm thinking that they had some information even in that first call. And again, I'm just going back to the fact that if you're not given anything, you're told, here's a location, the woman from Tucson is here, or just there's a body here, go look here. If you're given no information other than go look here, there's a body buried here, anonymous tip, you're going to go out with your 15 people, you're going to dig, you're going to find a body, and you're going to go, Shazam! We found him. Congratulations. High five, body bump. Okay, you're done. We won. This is awesome. They told us the body was here. We found the body. Yay. We're done. But I think they had a lot more information, again, because they didn't stop with the first body. They're like, okay, here's a body. This doesn't match what we were told we were looking for. We were told XYZ is what we're looking for. This is not XYZ. All right, let's keep going. You know, it's early in the day. Let's keep going. Next body. Okay, found another body. Let's get the DNA turned in. But this isn't who we're looking for because we're looking for the purple nightie and the blue tarp. Keep digging. Another body, not. Another body, not. Another body, not. Another body, on and on and on and on. So they finish. They get another call. Hey, anonymous tipster guy here. You guys are not in the right spot. Somehow I've been driving over there and I see what you guys are doing and you missed the spot. You need to go over here. Here's the spot. Go look over there, and that's where she is. And yes, look for the purple nightgown and the blue tarp. Okay, great. So they go over Wednesday, maybe find some more bodies, but it's not what they're looking for. They're going to go back next week. Maybe the tipster will call them this weekend and say, yeah, third tree to the right. And the fact that this person has called multiple times, this completely tracks with the last letter TMZ got on April 6th. I mean, again, Occam's razor? Anyone? Coincidences? Anyone? But it's not even a statement from Sheriff Nanos. It's a statement from, finally, their PIO, their press person. This is an active investigation. We will continue to follow any credible, clues or whatever. All right, let's watch this video. Just because, again, I have to calm down. I keep blabbing. I apologize, everybody, but it's just... am I the only one that is just completely flabbergasted right now? Even if this is not going, even if they don't get Nancy, this whole thing, something's not right. Something is not right. All right, this chick. I don't know who she is.
An update on the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping case. Volunteers for the Buscando Corazones collective in Mexico are searching for Guthrie after receiving an anonymous tip in May claiming she's buried close to the Arizona border. Guthrie, the mother of Today co-host Savannah Guthrie, was taken from her home in Tucson on February 1st. No arrests have been made in her disappearance. The caller said her remains are close to the Mariposa port of entry in Nogales, in one of the dried-out streams under a tree. Searchers are looking for any signs the ground may have been altered, including burn marks and uneven soil. So far, the group says they've gone on 2 separate searches around creeks, once on May 16th and again on June 10th, but both searches came up empty. They're planning a search near a 3rd stream on Tuesday. The Pima County Sheriff's Office says they are aware of the reports about the anonymous tip. They say they have not been contacted by Mexican authorities, and their investigation is ongoing. An update on the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping case. Volunteers for the Buscando Corazones collective in Mexico are searching for Guthrie after receiving an anonymous tip in May claiming she's buried close to the Arizona border. Guthrie, the mother of Today co-host Savannah Guthrie, was taken from her home in Tucson on February 1st. No arrests have been made in her disappearance. The caller said her remains are close to the Mariposa port of entry in Nogales, in one of the dried-out streams under a tree. Searchers are looking for any signs the ground may have been altered, including burn marks and uneven soil. So
burn marks and uneven soil near an empty riverbed under a tree. Trying to find, I had an article that talked about the group. Okay, here it is. Because I think that these people are real heroes and they deserve to be talked about. All right, volunteer group knows the Guthrie's pain. Wow. Group searches Sonora for missing mom and others. And this is an article from February 26, 2026. And here are some moms holding hands. Looks like they're doing a little prayer. They are beginning, they do begin their searches with a group prayer. So on a recent Wednesday, a convoy of Mexican authorities and a prominent volunteer search group gathered at a Sam's Club parking lot in Nogales, Sonora. Their objective was a high-profile kidnapping case from the Catalina foothills of Tucson, the abduction of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. Guthrie, the mother of Today's Show co-anchor Savannah Guthrie, was discovered missing February 1st, while U.S. federal and local authorities have processed the scene and offered significant rewards, including a $1 million offer from the family. The investigation has not yet publicly confirmed Guthrie's whereabouts. According to the Pima County Sheriff's Department, evidence indicates a nighttime kidnapping involving a disconnected doorbell camera and signs of a struggle at the residence. Madres Buscadores de Sonora, a nonprofit dedicated to finding missing persons in Sonora, organized the field search February 25th following an anonymous tip. The tip suggested that if an abductor intended to move Guthrie into Mexico clandestinely, they would likely use an illegal crossing point in the remote desert rather than an official port of entry. The group clarified that the tip did not provide concrete reasons to believe Guthrie was in this specific area, but rather noted it was a logical route for such a crossing, thus worth exploring. A legacy of absence. The group was born out of a specific kind of grief that has become common in the region. Founded in May 2019 by Cici Flores Armenta, the collective began after she suffered the disappearance of 3 sons. Alejandro vanished in 2015 in Los Mochis. 4 years later, on May 4th, 2019, 2 more of her sons were kidnapped in Bahia de Quino. Through her own investigation, she was able to recover her younger son after confronting his kidnapper. He now joins the group on their mission, so she saved her younger son. However, her older sons, Alejandro and Marco Antonio, remain missing, faced with what she described as a lack of progress by official investigators. Flores Armenta took to the desert with a shovel and a pickaxe, eventually drawing hundreds of other mothers into her wake. We have located, this is a quote, we have located more than 5,000 people, both alive and deceased. We have located many more alive than deceased. Wow, that's amazing, she said. Madres Buscadores de Sonora has over 1.6 million followers on Facebook. I think we all need to go and give them a like and follow. Quote, I started posting about Guthrie on our page, and I felt so much pain in my heart because I could not handle something happening to my mom. Flores Armenta said of their decision to search for someone who did not go missing in Sonora. The Sonoran search. The team arrived about 9:30 a.m. at a stretch of high Sonoran desert about 19 miles west of the De Concini Nogales port of entry. The terrain is characterized by steep ridges, arroyos, loose rock, and dense vegetation, including mesquite trees and cacti. The searchers covered nearly 2 miles of the border corridor, moving southwest before doubling back. Madres Buscadoras utilized a specific methodology developed over years of field experience. Searchers look for mixed dirt where the soil appears to have been dug up and replaced, often identifiable by the presence of rocks and other debris mixed in with the soil. The group uses long iron spikes to test the density of the earth. In an area with naturally hard-packed soil, a rod that slides in easily indicates recently disturbed ground. Once a hole is started, searchers check for the smell of decomposition or the presence of a greasy, oily substance as bodies release organic matter into the soil during decomposition. Good God. Because the search area is known for both migrant traffic and cartel activity, the group was accompanied by Mexican authorities. The escort included state and municipal police from Hermosillo and Nogales, members of the National Guard, the Comisión de Búsqueda de Personas Desaparecidas, and agents from the Agencia Ministerial de Investigación Criminal. In Tucson, the Pima County Sheriff's Department shared a post on X on February 21st discouraging private volunteer groups from conducting independent searches in the area of Guthrie's disappearance to give investigators the space they need to do the work. Whoa, they need space, guys. Oh no. We wouldn't want people looking. Oh my Lord. Madras Buscadores maintained that their field experience could be valuable to the Guthrie investigation. Quote, the authorities in the United States only have technology to do investigations, but we see that they haven't made progress, Flores Armenta said. We think that if they let us do a field search like we know how to do, we could achieve more. According to Guadalupe Teo, a member of Madras Buscadores, who has been searching for her son, Gilman Agramon Tello, since 2020, PCSD recently gave them the go-ahead to search Guthrie's neighborhood following private property laws, as well as to hang up flyers except on traffic light posts. On the same day the group was searching in Sonora, Tello and another member of the group began searching a wash near Guthrie's home. They chose a location based on an anonymous tip that a black glove was spotted in the area resembling the gloves worn by a man captured in the surveillance video. However, the pair received pushback from a neighbor, Sue Ellen, who, according to Teo, did not want them in the wash near their home. Sue Ellen. They ended their search for the day after that interaction, she said. Teo, who has been indirectly communicating with the Pima County Sheriff via a PSCD employee she knows, hopes to meet with the sheriff to discuss how Madras Buscadores can help or can put their missing person searching expertise to work. Well, I'm sure she's still waiting for that because they're not going to let anyone in. They need room. They need room to do their search. I hope I don't know if you could sue these. I'm not sue happy. These people need to be sued for incompetence. For the members of the collective, searching for a U.S. citizen is an extension of the work they do daily for Mexican families. Blanca Miranda, a member of the group, emphasized that the pain of a missing family member knows no borders. I joined the search in 2018 because my brother disappeared on October 31st, 2016, Miranda said. We are a family with the same pain. We put ourselves in their place because we are already going through it. The search concluded about 1 p.m. without finding Guthrie or any clandestine graves. The search party also used the opportunity to look for any migrants who may have passed away while attempting to cross the harsh terrain. Madras Buscadores de Sonora is requesting continued support from Mexican authorities to return to the area and continue where they left off in Nogales, Sonora. We invite people who have loved ones who've disappeared to join us. Flores Armenta said there are thousands of missing people who deserve to be looked for. Bravo. Bravo. Now, these people, this is amazing. I mean, these women and men they put our law enforcement and FBI to shame. So this is saying that they were looking for Nancy on February 25th, but it sounds like Sue Ellen said, get out of my yard. And they were looking in Arizona. They went across the border in Arizona, and then they were looking in an area in Mexico where people cross, and then got more information. And since then they've turned up 25 unmarked graves. And they haven't found Nancy, but you know what? I'm thinking that Nancy, if some good comes out of this and there are 30 families who have had closure, I bet you anything Nancy would say, job well done. Job well done. Pay it forward. Let's have some good. And it just really makes me, it makes me really sad. Because I think that even Savannah and Annie and Cam would probably say, good job. Because you were looking for her, you found 30 people, good or bad, criminals, innocents, whatever. They all had mothers. And even if they don't find Nancy, there are 30 people who were found. And I bet she would say, job well done. Sheriff is horrible. Sheriff is horrible. And the FBI, I'm feeling more and more like there has to be, this is just incompetence. With all the magical tools and all the gizmos and gadgets and magic tricks and teleportation machines and alien spacecraft and reverse engineering and anti-gravity, and you're telling me that they can't figure out who that a-hole was on her porch with all the cameras, and we can't find a car. We don't have any suspects. And yet 15 women in Nogales dug up 25 unmarked graves. We're good. We're still waiting. Oh, you mean that we got a letter from the guy that keeps sending us the same Bitcoin account, and he says he saw her in Sonora, maybe at a safe house, and now she's dead, but he knows where she's at? Nah, we don't need to go. We don't need to look. We're good. We're busy. We're ignoring EquiSearch. We're ignoring Cajun Navy. We're busy ignoring the cadaver dogs. We're busy. But you know what we are doing? We're telling volunteer search people to leave, and we're telling YouTubers that we're going to arrest you because of Sue Ellen. Sue Ellen has priority right now, FYI, if anyone is curious. If you guys are mad, tell me you're mad. I'm mad. And again, this may be nothing, but this is what this is representative. It's like, tell me what's going on without really telling me what's going on. What's really going on is they've ignored the ransom letters that Harvey Levin said, dude, this is real. It tracks with what we're being told. Nanos had no idea what was going on across the border. No one's urgently taking all their little SWAT trucks, all their little tanks, and their little camo gear with their toys across the border and looking. Yeah. No one calling Mexico. Hey, Mexico. I heard you guys are like, security for these, wonderful women who are just dug up 30 bodies. What's going on? Can you fill us in? Can we help? All right. Well, I think I'm done ranting, and I apologize, but I think everyone is, because I've posted some other stories. You know what? No one wants to hear other stories, at least not from me. Everyone wants to hear about Nancy Guthrie, though. This is touching people. This is important to people. This has not made sense to people. Well, guess what really doesn't make sense now is that I don't think anyone's freaking looking for her. I don't think anyone's trying. And I want to know why. And I wish I lived in Arizona, because I would probably go and start a protest outside right next to that jackass's freaking Corvette. Something needs to be done. Okay. Yay. All right. It's Friday night, you guys. Let's see what happens tomorrow. It could be a scam. It totally could be. And I could be getting riled up for nothing, but I feel like this is just indicative of what we're seeing. And it's pitiful. If they really didn't know and aren't interested in this, to even go in front of a camera themselves and address this, seems pretty important. They don't care. So, okay. We don't have any more answers today, but tomorrow is another day, you guys, and I'm going to stay on it. And if there's anything new, I will be back. And please subscribe. I'm a small channel. I don't want anybody's money. I don't want your super stupid stickers, stupid labels, stupid chats. I don't want any of that. So I just want you guys to subscribe and just watch. That's it. And hang out with me and let me be weird, because I'm weird. So I hope everybody has a great night. And again, thank you for subscribing and hitting that bell. And I will catch you all on the flip side. Okay. Toodaloo.